What's up, everyone? My name's Reject, and right now, I just came back from seeing Better Late Than Never. Oh my god, I actually like this movie. This is a movie that we should have had a long time ago, and the main reason why we should have had that a while back is it brings up something that not that many other films bring up. Well, you see all these films out there about, okay, well, the blacks were treated bad. Chinese people were treated bad. All these people were pushed out or treated bad, and over the time that U.S. was here. Yet there's something that over that time we've sort of forgotten about, and that's about the elderly. After the moment they retire, over time we've started to neglect them also. And the reason why I know this, I live in a block where there are plenty of elderly people living around there, and they go through these problems all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a neighbor move in my lifetime just because, their retirement check was shut down or they didn't get their pension plan that got dissolved or anything like that because a factory moved or something happened that caused it to occur. And it's a sad thing to see. And this movie portrays that perfectly with it being a comedy. And by that, I mean, let's face it, if you go to prison, you're going to have better health care than a guy that's on Social Security. Well, how do I know that? Heck, my uncle's going through that right now. He has lung cancer. And they can't do anything for him except what they're doing now because of his health insurance. Which is a terrible thing for him to be going through. On the other hand, one of the neighbors, their son needed a kidney and he's in prison. Guess what happened? He got a kidney. We've been mistreating the elderly while ramping up care for other ones, which is alright, but still, certain times it makes big delays on there. And also the bank, how much. I mean, you know this. You go to the bank and you get screwed over all the time. This movie actually portrays that pretty well. I mean, most movies are in there like, oh, we're in a company. Everyone understands. No, no, no. They have Michael Caine, who was in the Dark Knight trilogy, he was Alfred, goes to the bank in the beginning of the movie, and the guy's trying to tell him, well, this is our teaser rate for your mortgage plan. Now it's gone up 3 times because there was a possibility of this and da 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 da. And he says, well, you said it wouldn't. And then he said, well, I clearly stated that there was a possibility after having to look him up thinking I never gave you this plan. And I don't know how many times I've been to a bank and that happened. Yet they'll care for in later in the movie they say, yeah, they'll care for the big companies because actually that's pretty true. We have a small bank in my town. Well, in my state, we have like just a statewide bank. If you are a small guy in there, they're not going to pay attention to you. They're like, oh shoot, you don't have that much money in your account. Why should we care? Yet when I went in there for my boss, who's a who's has a real estate company, they were bending over backwards just to keep his account. But for me, if I were to drop, they would say, you know what, who cares? We got these guys. Which I actually like how this movie portrays it. And there are some funnier scenes in here. Okay, they have Alan Arkin, which I don't know what movies he's from. He was in Marley and Me. He was in a couple different ones like that. Who is this guy who's ready to basically die? He's that old guy, I'm ready to die. I don't care anymore. Like, I've lived this long. Who cares? I got no one. He never got married, never did any of that stuff. And he's like, I'm just ready to die. We have Morgan Freeman, who is, I believe his name's Willie in the movie. And he's a guy who basically his granddaughter lives away from him. He has some medical problems. And Michael Caine, Alan Arkin, and Morgan Freeman are all friends that have grown up. They worked in the same company, a steel company, for years and years. And they're starting to get screwed over at their old age. I mean, you see how they start getting treated in this movie, which is amazing to see. They portray this exact to what I know from where I live. And they decide after they realize that since their company's going out of the country, and I know this because the town that I live in Heck, they had a factory close about 2 towns over. It devastated us. I mean, heck, businesses had to close because a lot of guys couldn't afford it. They're losing their jobs left and right, which is a sad thing to happen. And yeah, that's a terrible thing to occur. And this company, this factory is shutting down. They give them a 30-day notice. They say, okay, your pension plan is no more. We're using it. It's being dissolved. And then they find out later after Michael Caine and um, Morgan Freeman sit down and decide, you know what? Let's rob a bank. Well, Michael Caine comes up with the idea. Morgan Freeman decides he's going to follow his buddy and say, yeah, you know what? I'm with you. I'll rob a bank. I want to live. I don't want to buy. He has this line where he says, I want to be able to buy pie whenever the heck I want. And it's cool because these guys are working off Social Security and pension, which is nothing at all. Their retirement and the Social Security, if you don't have it set up properly, it's nothing at all. Trust me, my mom's going through that. It's nothing at all. And they go to a diner. They can't afford to buy their meal. I mean, they can't afford to get like a pie or something like that every time they go there, and they usually just get coffee or something like that. And Morgan Freeman decides, you know what? I wanna have a full piece of pie. I want to have pie whenever the hell I want. So he agrees to that. They rob this little, it's called Value Town, which is the funniest scene ever in the movie. Alan Arkin doesn't know what the hell's going on. It's like a candid camera. These guys are walking out of there. And this is where you see in the trailer for the movie where they're riding on a scooter and basically pouring powder out there with Michael Caine in the scooter and then Morgan Freeman in the basket. And they're just like, oh, we got to get out of here now. Which is the funniest thing to see, this getaway scene. Well, time goes on. And this movie does get pretty interesting the more it goes on there. I mean, these guys, you see more humor, you see more character building, the relationship between the family members and all this and what they want. Alan Arkin finally joins in. They see a scene where they're trying to train themselves to rob a bank. And the final third of this movie's a great, like, parody of caper movies. Because look, it has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. Most films would have like, oh, loose end, we can have a sequel, we can have this. No, no, no. It's like, you know what? These guys are only going to do this once. They just stole $1 million. They're okay. And first part, you get to know the characters. Second part is the comedy. The third part, there's still some comedy in there. They don't get rid of the comedy at all in this film. But this is the caper. This is when it gets tense because they rob the bank. And oh my god, throughout the whole scene where they're trying to investigate, you know, how most um, caper movies, it's like they rob the place and then they're gone. No one ever sees them. That's not how this goes. The robbery is a small part. It's the part after it which will have your heart racing. And I mean racing. I'm sitting in there like, don't get caught, don't get caught, don't get caught. And I'm not going to spoil this for you. This movie was so good, you just have to go out there and experience it. And it's simply wonderful to see the character building, the relationships, and how the family works. How, you know, the family dynamic is changing, and how the elderly are treated in here is simply amazing to see how it's portrayed. And it's funny seeing the humor they have with the elderly people. Like, they have one guy, the guy who played Doc Brown, I think his name was Joe in Taxi, is like a senile old man, and there's a scene with Alan Arkin's running a cotton candy vendor, and the Doc Brown comes walking up, and he goes, "Oh, this is big. This is fancy. It's packed. How do you get so many people here?" And he goes, I'm actually putting cocaine in the cotton candy." And he goes, "Huh?" And he goes, I'm joking. Well, Doc Brown takes over. The other guy leaves, and he grabs the loudspeaker, and he gets nervous after seeing all these kids, and he goes, we're closed. No more cocaine." Which was fun. It had everyone roaring in this movie theater, and it was packed in the theater when I went. Then later, when they're investigating and they talk to the guy, they say, well, they ask him how he was doing it, and he mentions that thing to the cop. He's like, well, you know, he was first selling cocaine at the cotton candy vendor. You know he was missing it. And it was simply amazing to see this movie, the way they had it. And the funny thing was, when they had their alibis and stuff like that, when they're trying to cover up for it all, it was amazing to see this. They said, you know, they blend in so easily, no one could really recognize them, which was amazing to see. And you just have to go see this movie. This movie, I'm giving a 9 out of 10. It's not 10 out of 10 yet. Because I really wanted to know more, see more of, well, actually, no, you know what? Actually, that did occur. While thinking about it, I was going to say I want to see more dynamic between the family and how he acted, but there was a lot of that. So I'm giving this movie a 10 out of 10. It's a must see. It is a simply amazing film to watch. Have your family there, have anyone there, and you'll be rip roaring the whole way through. Oh my god. Going Out with Style is on my top 10 movie list right now for 2017, and I hope it stays up there. But we have a lot more to go on with, so see you guys next time. Well, we're probably going to do, I'm not sure what, but we're going to do something fun.